Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another segment of Asaph Cafe. I am your host, Asaph Adonai. And on my immediate left, we have again one of our regulars, Linda Brooks Curtis. And then we have Teresa Toigo. And these lovely ladies are joining me on this segment here. And of course, it's 2016, so we've done something like 3 or 4 shows already, so we're getting ahead. And I'm going to start off this segment with my favorite cartoon song.
Wait a minute. I remember hearing that on the radio in the 1950s.
That song?
Yes.
Yeah, it probably has more than
It was
one
on the hit
title.
parade.
Huh?
It was on the hit parade.
Yeah, well, I don't know its actual name. I call it the Underdog
Yeah,
song.
well, the song is oh where has my little dog gone?
My Little Dog Gone?
Uh-huh.
Well, that would make sense that they would use an Underdog cartoon then.
Yeah.
Because Underdog was a dog.
See, we old people, we're up on all that.
Okay. Well, anyway, Sweet Polly Purebred used to sing that song every time she got in trouble, and Underdog would come and fly to her rescue. The cute little song. I once heard Liberace play that song too, his version of it. Of course, his was really fancy. Really, really fancy. But you can hear the melody, even though he's got all this stuff going on. Sometimes I'll do something like this. You may have heard me do this. A note in there somewhere.
Nice. That was nice.
So let me redeem myself. That's a little bit better than the last time I did it. I heard that miss note in there somewhere.
Well, we want to thank Missoula Manor for giving me a sack lunch so that
Well, just give him a thank you around the camera
we
there.
have a lunch to eat for our cafe effect. A wonderful, wonderful lunch with carrots and celery and apple quarters and ham sandwich on
Well-
gluten-free bread.
Well, yeah, I want to give my thanks. I didn't get a chance to play at the senior center today, or the senior center or the manor, so that was kind of the manor to give that to you. It's been a while since I played there at the manor, too.
They do that when you can't be there for meals,
really?
unavoidably.
Okay.
So I figured I want to be on the show. I'm not gonna, and I don't have to miss a meal to do it.
Okay, cool. Well, I was going to treat you last week anyway if it had time.
Yeah, we had a late taping last week.
I know, I didn't have any control over that.
And that's all right because the studio was being used for a good cause.
Yeah.
And I just spoke with Joel. I was disappointed because their animation class is for kids, 9 to 13. And I said, wow, I'd like to take that class. And he said, well, that's an idea. They might get a class together for older people at another time. Yeah.
Oh, cool, cool.
Yeah, in Las Vegas, there's a high school called Votech, which it prepares people for careers in practical areas like culinary
Okay.
and restaurant and plumbing and heating and things like that. But one of the classes they have in their arts program is animation.
Wow.
And frequently, the students in those classes get to actually work with professional animators for films, for Hollywood animated films, like Aladdin and things like that.
Wow, wow.
So, practical experience is the best recommendation. And that that's sort of like an internship for them.
I see, yeah. Well, that hasn't changed about Vegas since when I was there. They used to have all these opportunities for culinary stuff and all the other stuff that was going on there at that time. This is a beautiful song. And I want to thank you ladies again for helping me out today and be part of this again.
Who was on the show last week?
I was.
Me and Linda.
Oh,
We did our one-on-one last week, which is always fun. I just think this is such a perfect theme song. Don't you think?
I'm sitting here thinking the words.
Now we just got to get you a trumpet and you'll be fine. Just play the trumpet like Herb Alpert. Did you ever see the video to this song?
No,
It was pretty cool, actually.
I wasn't aware that a video came out then.
Well, no, this is when he was a young man, too.
I
They had-
was lucky to be able to afford the LP album of it.
Well, he was sitting on a giant letter H, which represented his name.
Mm-hmm.
He was sitting in the middle, and he had his trumpet there, so he was like singing the song, and you could hear the orchestra in the background, but you couldn't see him on camera. And then at the end of that, when he finished singing it, then he took that trumpet and started playing that solo. It was just pretty cool. So, yeah. Anyway,
That's terrific. It must have been a taping for a show or something.
I think it
that
was for the
put on a
Carpenter
CD.
show.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool. Of course, it's Herb Alpert. If you can play a trumpet like that, then you can probably do anything you want in Hollywood, I guess. I don't know.
As long as you establish connections.
Yeah, well, I mean good stuff as far as entertainment,
Good stuff, yeah.
That's what I meant, yeah.
Well,
good
that's
stuff.
what I meant.
But what a great legacy Herb Alpert's going to leave behind when he finally retires. All that beautiful music on that trumpet that he's played over the years. In fact, when he was with the Tijuana Brass, they used to use his music on the dating game with Jim Lang. And here she is! And they had that song, da 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 da. So, what a cool legacy he's going to leave behind.
That's right.
Those are some beautiful songs. Tijuana Taxi, and Bullfighter song, and all those other songs that
I love the Bullfighter
that
song.
he did. It doesn't
Can you
sound
play
the
it?
same. Well, it's
But it
not the
doesn't
same.
sound the
I
same
can
on the
play
piano.
at it. Something like that, but it's not the same. Trying to play the Bullfighter
Yeah,
song on
that
the
trumpet
piano.
was kind of haunting.
Yeah,
I-
you have to be a trumpet player.
I
to
imagine
make
you
that
played
work.
that on your trumpet.
I did when I was like early college when I had my teeth at the time. and was like 30 or 40 years younger. But
What happened to your teeth?
well, I had all my teeth yanked out over the years, the back teeth and so on, aging and decay issues and stuff. That kind of took away my trumpet playing. Well, you have to have perfect teeth and perfect embouchure, they call it. And I've had some injuries.
Believe me,
too.
I know what embouchure is.
Yeah, the mouth, the
I-
formation of the mouth and all. And I
I
had
have
some
difficulty singing now that I've had jaw problems.
Yeah, and I've had some injuries with mouth, getting hit and stuff over the years.
Too much fighting.
No, not really fighting, just accidental. That's a trumpet player's worst nightmare, to get hit in the mouth accidentally or something.
I know the lips are really important too.
Yeah,
keeping your
you
lips
have
in
to.
shape.
Yeah, and you have to have the teeth right and everything. I would imagine it's the same not only with a trumpet, but a clarinet, a flute, or any of those
Oh yeah,
instruments.
you have to keep your
Have to keep
embouchure
the
correct.
embouchure, they call it.
And you have to have your breathing mechanism down. Can't have COPD or anything like that.
Probably not. So, but I was a kid when I took trumpet lessons, even though I still knew how to play the piano. But over the years, and I said it in my autobiography and stuff, you start losing back teeth and you start, whatever, it's going to take that away from you.
And even to play a flute like this,
Yeah.
you'd have to have a good embouchure and really know how to
Yeah.
breathe to do it.
One day I'll learn how to play the flute.
And your
Okay.
grandson made this for you?
Yeah. He's made me 3, and he's going to make me a tambourine for my birthday.
He
Yay!
is?
Yeah.
Now that I can play.
I can play the maracas.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like this song.
when I was doing percussion, I had to be a jack of all trades,
It's one of my favorite songs.
But then I had to dance with the tambourine too when I did singing telegrams and shows.
Telegrams?
Yeah.
All
Clean singing telegrams. I wouldn't do any of the strippergrams or anything like that.
right.
Richard Dreyfuss tipped me $25 once
He did?
for a singing telegram. Yeah.
That must have been pretty cool.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed.
Where was that?
Chateau Vegas. I don't think it exists anymore. It was a really exclusive dining out place. And there was a group of about 20 people, and I had been requested for it. So I went in and did my French maid.
Oh, cool. And he gave you that tip, huh?
Oh, yeah.
I think I would have had him autograph that tip and just keep it and
Well,
not spend it.
and that's one of the things that I tried not to do when I met celebrities, is have them autograph things, because they like the recognition, but a lot of them don't want to draw other people's attention.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And, so I just learned not to do that.
That reminds me of when we lost
should have
Davy
asked who's on
Jones from the Monkees.
Yes. And I had my picture taken with him.
Yeah, well, the band members decided not to go to his funeral as to not draw attention away from
Him.
from Davy Jones and maybe his family and so on. So I think the way they did it, they paid their respects privately, probably to the family, but they didn't go to the actual service. And I can understand it, because then all the attention would have been on the remaining band members instead of Davy Jones.
We just lost David Bowie.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been trying to figure out how to play Let's Dance. See if I can do it. I'm still trying to work out the bugs. This is the beginning. Something like that,
My favorite David Bowie song is Fame.
Fame?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to play that on the
That
piano.
was
No.
the theme for that television show too, wasn't it?
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
You have a favorite David Bowie song?
Mm-mm.
Remember that China doll song? It sounded
China-
something like this.
China Girl.
Something like that. I don't know how to play that song.
And we lost the singer for the Eagles, too.
Oh, Fry,
Yeah.
Glenn Fry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, he's my type of musician.
I just
Really?
sang.
Did you ever
He
meet
was.
him? Did you ever meet
No,
him?
I never met him, but I really liked the Eagles' music.
I just sang Life in the Fast Lane.
And I believe he wrote Desperado,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he did.
which
Hotel
on
California.
Hotel California. Linda Ronstadt recorded that, and very, very nice
Oh,
version
yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
So I used to do that for karaoke.
Is Linda Ronstadt still singing these days? Because I heard she's got some health issues.
The last time she sang publicly, I think, was when she was called to sing at the White House for
That's
some
the
sort
last
of
time.
dinner.
That was the last appearance that she made at that time.
That's the last I have heard, but I can't say anything about
Okay,
her.
Yeah. Well, I know it's sad.
We
when
all
people-
get older, you know.
I know it's sad when people pass, but look at the legacies that some of these people will leave behind, like David Bowie. The legacy he'll leave behind with that music. and Glenn Frey and, you know, all the other people of the past.
And David Bowie just wasn't famous for his music, but his style.
Yeah.
He had a unique style.
Well, he was one of those musicians, they said on the world news, that he always reinvented himself.
And he
for the
certainly
next
was
generation.
avant-garde.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think the world will miss David Bowie, but he's got some pretty cool music, though. I would say. Pretty cool. But I think that Let's Dance is probably going to be the most fun. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, I was just watching David Bowie on the video the other day, you know, because they've posted all of his early works now that he's gone. So it's kind of fun to look back in time and listen to David Bowie. Did you see the clip with a very young David Bowie and Bing Crosby? Did you ever see that clip?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, they were singing this Christmas duet together.
Wow.
It sounded pretty cool.
Well, Bing Crosby died in like 1966, didn't he? Or was
No,
it?
he died in, I think it was 77 or so.
Oh,
But
wow.
David Bowie was very, very young, and they
Yeah.
had teamed them up. And so David Bowie was singing one song, Christmas song, while Bing was doing the other, and they were able to match it together.
Mm.
Did you see that video of Mick Jagger and David Bowie doing Dancing in the Streets?
No, I don't think I ever saw that.
Wow.
That
That'd be
was in the
fun.
80s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Mick Jagger is kind of an amazing individual to me. As old as he is, still going strong. Still has the #1 rock band in the world. I think that's pretty amazing.
I missed him when he came to Missoula.
Well, I heard those tickets were not cheap.
Well, I lived right by the ballpark, and I could have listened to it, but I was babysitting so these other people could go.
I wished I had been able to be here when Paul McCartney was here.
Oh, me too. And Elton John.
Well, you know, those tickets were something like over $200 when Paul McCartney was here. I heard. I went to the Doubletree Hotel where they were setting up for that concert at the time. And they had a lot of professional-looking people there, and they were serving hors d'oeuvres and wines and things like that, setting up for that concert. It was packed in that hotel. But yeah, the tickets were like $250 at that time.
That was Elton John? Or
No,
Paul McCartney?
Paul McCartney, yeah.
Well, I paid a good price to see him in 1994.
I remember when the Beatles were on Ed Sullivan's show.
Okay.
Ha! Yeah, well, that was 1964.
Right.
I was a freshman in high school.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You recognize this?
I do, but
That's the intro to a song called Drive Your Funky Soul by James Brown.
Whoa.
James Brown.
Yeah, I'll do it again and see if you recognize it. It started out in the low notes. Come on, notes. And then it went an octave higher. That was the intro. Well, they had trumpet players blasting those notes out. Well, you just have to see the video.
Well, of course.
I'm
He
just
was
sitting
great
there-
at what he did.
Yeah, I'm just, it's not the same when you try to play that stuff on the piano by
Yeah.
yourself, but yeah, James Brown was a very interesting performer to me. He just had a very tight rhythm section as far as the band at that time. Those trumpet players, they're all in sync, and, all the other singers and the dancers and what have you.
And I think he was an inspiration to Michael Jackson.
Yeah, but Cab Calloway is credited with inventing all those dance moves.
Of Michael Jackson's?
And James Brown.
Really?
Because if you look at the early 1933 Cab Calloway videos, you can see him kind of moonwalking and stuff.
And he was an absolute consummate entertainer.
Yeah, Cab Calloway is
Oh my
instrumental for
gosh.
starting all those dance moves according to history.
And singing styles.
Yeah.
And he was always upbeat and positive. He had quite a following, you know.
I know.
Too bad he didn't get mixed up with Al Capone or anything, but he was one of the entertainers that Al Capone wanted to see performing. It was the Cotton Club in Detroit, or was
I
it?
guess.
Yeah. Or Chicago, the Cotton Club.
Can you imagine how intimidating or frightening that must have been? Was somebody like Al Capone wants to come see you perform? You know, they probably have hidden motives. Because that happened to Liberace, too, as a young man. Bugsy Siegel. Yeah, history tells that story. Because, see, in those days, you know, Vegas had that gangster image, you know? And so the guys are in there playing poker or stuff. All the women are up there listening, watching this young piano player. And according to history, Bugsy Siegel saw this young pianist say, "We got to get this pianist into our club." And I think he had hidden motives. But Spiegel was gunned down before that actually happened, before the contract was offered to a very young Liberace then, according to history. Makes you wonder how life would have turned out had a young Liberace started playing at Bugsy's hotel instead of the hotels that he went on to play in. You ever wonder about that, how history would work itself if things had been different?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did that fall off again? So anyway, it's just food for thought, you know. If you're into science fiction, you can always use your imagination and wonder. Let's have fun with science fiction. Those cool chords right there. I know you ladies know this song.
Star Trek.
Star Trek. My version of it.
Well, I think it's absolutely fabulous that you can just get on the internet and go to YouTube and find practically anything you want, from church anthem music to music from the 20s and 30s and even before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true.
Will you excuse me for a minute?
Sure.
Okay.
Just walk out that door and come back in that door. But you're right. YouTube is a really amazing thing because you can see anything on YouTube. I've seen things on YouTube that I'd totally forgotten about. All kinds of old shows, performances, you name it.
And in some cases, entire movies.
Yeah.
For example, up until a couple years ago, I could still watch the whole movie of How Green Was My Valley. I love John Ford.
Yeah.
And people used to say, "Oh, you look just like Maureen O'Hara." When I was in England, the people would tell me that. And I don't.
You don't?
But I had long, thick auburn hair.
Oh, okay.
And I was slim. So there was some resemblance.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
I would like to have looked like her, but they made much of it in the Wye Valley of England, and we took a field trip there to where they had made the film.
I see.
The girls from the school.
Uh-huh.
Winterbourne, the collegiate school for girls. Anyway, so I don't really have to buy everything.
I see.
You know,
I see.
because you go out and buy a DVD or a CD, and you can find the same thing on the internet. And how often are you going to listen to it anyway?
Oh, yeah.
There are some things that you just play over and over and over again, but...
Uh-huh. Such a beautiful song.
Yes.
It's a perfect song while you're talking, you know.
Well, I'm prayerfully talking. And it's still amazing to me that we aren't allowed to say anything referring to Christianity or do anything Christian or pray in public places or schools.
I know, that's kind of sad, isn't
I
it?
think it is unjust. Was never the intent of the Constitution or the interpretations of it. I told my principal once that I taught with the philosophy of Philippians 4, which is keep your mind focused on things that are worthy and true and honest and beautiful.
Yeah, and I think
keep your material elevated to that level.
Well,
what was wrong with that? Because it was a reference to the Bible.
Well, I make it a rule not to usually talk about religion and politics, but I will make this comment that, if Donald Trump gets in that White House, I think he's going to change a lot of stuff because did you see what he did on the World News the other day? He had the Bible in his hand at Liberty University, and he said he's going to defend Christianity.
Yay.
I found that very interesting.
And
And he's talking about his Christian faith, which he's not known for, but...
And Sarah Palin was very Christian.
Yeah.
And she endorsed him. And they're going, oh, Looney Tunes. Well, there's nothing loony about Sarah Palin. She actually was a successful governor.
Yeah,
of
she
a
must have been doing
state.
something right. And she was like, governor, my goodness. But
And then she unexpectedly became pregnant while she was governor. And she had already raised her other children.
Yeah.
And she said, I'm not going to have an abortion. I am going to have this child, even if it is going to be born with Down syndrome.
Yeah, but see, my point is...
So what's...
Well,
how is she
I happen
you're
to be a
right that
Hillary.
we have to... at least whoever gets in there, I hope they will defend Christianity, and I'll leave it at that.
and not
That's
lie
all.
and steal and...
Yeah,
I
because...
thought we weren't going to get political.
We're not.
We're
I just made a quick comment
About his reference to the
his
Bible.
reference to the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just thought that was
And that would be
interesting.
great if somebody did.
If somebody defends that. Now, on that note...
Can I talk about my dream?
oh, sure, why not?
Okay. Well, Martin Luther King had a dream, and I share a dream with Stephen Zeiler for the city. It's called Destination Dignity, and it's a place for... This is the Garden City, and we should have a beautiful garden where people in wheelchairs can have some dignity and go and maybe have a putt-putt course and some vegetable gardens and a game room. And I just think that would be really great. And if you're interested, please contact your city councilman.
Now, what would be the difference in that and the current senior residents that have all of those?
Well, I don't think we have any place like that. And do we?
Missoula Manor. It's not as expensive as a lot of those other places.
Well, this would be a place with gardens.
Well, there, people have their own. They just sign up and they get their own garden plot, and they can garden.
But there's not a putt-putt course.
No, there isn't. That wouldn't be difficult to put one in if people were going to use it.
Right. So
Okay.
there's only one miniature golf place in Missoula, and that's at the West Side Lanes, and
well,
it's
maybe
very
one day
small.
it'll expand
That's
out or
nice.
something,
That's a
you know.
nice dream. It's very beneficial.
Yeah.
Well, hope
I
that dream
love
of yours
miniature
comes
golf.
true. Well, I hope that dream of yours comes true someday.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know
And
if you noticed I was playing that while you ladies were talking.
And my granddaughter has lost 2 more teeth. And
Uh-oh.
She keeps them in the little tooth fairy box.
Oh, speaking of the Tooth Fairy, did you see the movie Tooth Fairy with Dwayne what's his name? Dwayne Johnson, the athlete? Did you ever see the movie?
We talked about it last week.
Yeah. Well, it was
I
just
didn't get
fun.
to see it. I should look it up on YouTube.
I have it at home now.
Oh, yay. Well,
DVD.
I'll borrow it
DVD
sometime.
version. Yeah, I have a DVD version. I never saw that movie until about a week or 2 ago.
Well,
never
Teresa
saw
might
it.
not be aware of it.
Tooth Fairy. Have you ever heard of it?
yeah,
Yeah, did you see it?
I think so.
Yeah, Julie Andrews. Well, Julie Andrews was in that film. That's what got my attention. When I saw her name on there, I said, okay, if Julie Andrews is in on this is probably going to be pretty funny. Because Julie Andrews was in the Shrek films. Did you see the Shrek movies?
Yeah.
They used her voice, and she played the queen, the mom to Princess Fiona. That's pretty cool. So, and another thing that got my attention about that Tooth Fairy, to see this big athlete with these fairy wings, I thought, okay, this guy's got a good sense of humor, because, that guy is huge. Have you seen him?
Who's that?
Dwayne Johnson, the actor? He was like a pro wrestler when he was younger.
Uh-huh.
Just chiseled all over the place. So to see this magnificent athlete with fairy wings, that got my attention. I thought, okay, this is going to be a pretty funny movie, family film. And I think that Dwayne was a good sport to play that fairy character.
My
I think
grandson.
he was a really good sport.
My grandson got in a white elephant gift some fairy wings, and he's a skateboarder, so he's gonna skateboard with his wings on.
Oh, how cute. That'll be wonderful.
Yeah, that's neat.
And he probably has perfect balance, so it wouldn't bother him a bit.
Well, he was a gymnast, and yeah, he's very good at it.
Now,
Okay,
what's
cool.
the name of the guy who did this? Cat in the Cradle? Who did it?
Harry Chapin.
Yeah, I like his songs too.
Pretty song.
Well, the lyrics, I think, were quite meaningful
Uh-huh.
and symbolic. Just about all the songs he did were like that.
Yeah.
Oh, something happened to Don McLean the other day. Did he die? Or
Who?
Don McLean?
I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, he sang American Pie.
Yeah.
Bye Bye Miss American Pie. I don't remember the news article. Something happened.
No, I hadn't heard about that. I'll have to look him up. Don McLean, I remember him. Let's see if I can remember how that song goes. It went something like this.
Hey, he was meaningful to an old codger like me.
Let's see if I can remember it.
That'll be the day that I die.
Something like that.
That'll be the day that I die.
Yeah, I don't know. It was something like that, but yeah, those guys left some great songs behind. Cat Stevens and Harry Chapin and all the rest of those people in that era that did what they call it, folk songs, I think. Folk,
Yeah.
Would you put that in the category? Folk tunes.
Contemporary folk, yeah.
But like I once said, I think Bob Dylan will probably be synonymous with folk tunes in that era. I know they had other artists,
Blowing in the
James
wind.
Taylor and all the rest of them, but I think Bob Dylan will be the most
Rainy Day
prominent,
Sundays.
the most prominent of that era. I would think.
I'm one of his biggest fans.
Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
I read in Judy Collins' autobiography
Uh huh.
how she is one of the people who tried to get him to perform and tried to bring him out.
Really?
He was
And-
so shy because he couldn't carry a tune.
And Joan Baez also. I got to meet Joan Baez when I was
Yeah, well,
14.
she didn't need somebody to bring her out.
No,
She was
she-
fantastic.
She was trying to help Bob Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they must have done something.
That's
right,
how
because-
Judy Collins got her start. She
Well-
performed with her guitar.
Well, they must have done something right, because when Bob Dylan finally burst on the scene, boy, did he burst on the scene. Yeah. So, but that was a different era and different time, and I think of all those people in that era, Bob Dylan probably is the most prominent performer, in my opinion, of that era, that time, I would think. I don't know. But People are still talking about him today.
I was listening to him this morning.
Bob Dylan?
Yeah, I have a CD where he taped live,
Really?
and he forgets some of the lyrics.
Well, I
So
can
he
understand that. I mean, God, are you singing all those songs like that? I would imagine you could
He sang
go
something
brain dead sometimes.
with another really man with a deep voice. Oh, it was who's the guy who always wore black?
Johnny Cash.
Yeah, he and Johnny Cash recorded a song called The North Country Fair. And
Uh-huh.
that was fabulous. He was really good paired with Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
I remember that. And that was well after both of them had had their heyday.
Well, I liked Johnny Cash when he was with the Highwaymen. Willie Nelson, Chris Christopherson, Johnny Cash, and Waylon Jennings.
Yeah. I didn't really get into country music until it kind of crossed over at that point into a little bit more like pop, more like folk music and pop. My dad did the old time country western.
That's what I like.
And he was really good, and I'll never forget those songs and singing back up to my dad's singing and guitar playing.
Uh-huh.
Cool Water.
Oh,
You know that?
I know the song. I've never played it. I heard Gene Autry singing that song. That's how far it goes back, I believe.
And Let the Rest of the World Go By.
Was that a Gene Autry song, too?
Well, Gene Autry is the one who really made it famous.
Mm-hmm.
That was fabulous. Those are all old country songs, but they weren't that twangy stuff. It was the twangy stuff that we
Well, you
disagreed
know,
with.
I admit I'm not really into country music that much, but I will admit that I think the early country was real country to me.
Yeah.
You know, because this new country that's out just sounds too much like rock and roll to me.
It's really pop.
Yeah, or pop
Yeah.
music. And I don't mean that critically when I say that, but it was fun when you would listen to the country people of the past, Porter Wagner, and all those kind of people, because it sounded like something out of the backwoods.
And you know, the other thing is some of modern quote unquote country has trivial themes, you know, whereas the old country had themes like survival and values in life, and so much of the twangy country is I'm gonna get back at you. What are you gonna do without me? And I got another man.
Oh, wow.
I like Dolly Parton.
Oh, Dolly Parton was classic,
Mhm.
especially her.
They just made a movie about her, didn't they, recently?
I don't know.
Brand new film about her life.
Uh,
Called
Coat of
something about
Many
many
Colors?
colors. Called the Many
Coat of
Colors.
Many
Coat of Many
Colors.
Colors.
Yeah, that's based
It's
on her life, I
probably
understand.
autobiographical or just biographical.
Yeah, I've not seen it
anyway.
yet, but I saw some previews about it.
I
And
watched
it's probably
it.
going to be very
She
good.
was-
It was really good.
She was pretty flamboyant with her big hair and her sculpted body and
Yeah,
all
well-
of that, but she really had a sweet voice and she sang meaningfully.
Yeah.
It wasn't all that catty stuff.
The Coat of Many Colors is a true story.
Yeah,
about
based
her.
on her life, I understand, and her gifts
I mean
and
the
stuff.
song. There's a
Mm-hmm.
song.
And what's the song "I Will Always Love You" that she wrote? She wrote that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
No, I did not know that.
she wrote that.
I know she sang it, I just didn't know she wrote it.
Yeah.
You know, usually people associate Whitney Houston with that song these days.
Well, maybe they do, but Dolly Parton wrote it
Oh, I believe
and
it.
recorded it long before other people used it and did well with it.
You know, that's funny how
And
sometimes...
Whitney Houston was a terrific singer.
Oh, yeah.
I just
It's-
love One Moment in Time. Oh, that was so fantastic.
Well, you know, Whitney Houston just had a very incredible voice.
And the children, what was her first hit was the the children.
Was that before the Bodyguard film came out?
Oh, definitely. That was her. She was still a teenager when she recorded that. I believe that children have a future. You remember that, don't you? Yeah.
Barely.
Yeah, you remember that.
Yeah.
I believe the children are our future.
Uh-huh.
That was terrific. I'll always love you. Will always love you.
Something like that.
And she dared to sing in a soprano range too. A lot of pop singers just wouldn't sing in that higher range, but she did.
Yeah, I saw
Dolly
the video.
Parton.
There's a video of her singing that when she was younger, obviously, and it's quite
Dolly
good.
Parton?
No, I'm talking about
Whitney Houston?
Yeah, singing that. I should look up that video about Dolly Parton singing that. She must have been pretty young when she did that.
I don't
then.
think Whitney did it in that key, but Dolly Parton did.
Oh, okay.
And she's
I can always look it up and see.
Well, of course we can all look it up, can't we? That's your homework assignment.
Yeah, look up Whitney Houston and Dolly Parton. Oh, you know what I wanted to talk about? A neat little thing that happened to me a couple of days ago. I told Joel I was going to mention it. I've been associated with this MCAT studio for about a year and a half. Done a lot of volunteering work outside of my own shows and stuff, like the Wake Up Missoula and so on. So last Monday, MCAT studio got this, it's called a Southgate Mall certificate. It was for $150. And I can go anywhere in the whole mall and get anything I want within the range of that gift certificate. And I went into Herberger's and they had the Paula Deen cooking ware. It was like 15-piece non-stick gourmet cooking ware. That's what they called it in the box. And it was on sale for $160, which would have exceeded the card that I got. But they had one in there that they sold to me for $80, all because the color of it was outdated. Can you believe that?
So I suppose you're going to be doing a lot of cooking.
I am now. I took all those pots and pans and washed them. I put them away, and they just work so perfect. Gourmet pots and pans. Mine was a kind of a dark reddish color with black spots on it. That's the only reason why it's so cheap, because the color was outdated.
Where are you going to put it?
I already put it away. I got rid of all my old stuff because it was falling apart and the handles are falling off and everything. But these are put on so they're not going to fall off. And then I went and bought a toaster oven. Instead of getting a toaster, you get those little ovens. And it was on sale for $17. I wanted to stretch it. Can you believe
At
that?
Southgate Mall?
Yeah, at Herberger's.
Hey, get
they
over
had it
there.
on sale for $17. I
My
went and I saw
goodness.
that. So, 18 plus 17, so
Yeah,
I was
I
able to
have
get both of
friends
those.
who always want to hit the sales at Herberger's.
Yeah, well, I had this little coupon too, so they were like chopping prices off of things.
Whoa.
And that's how I was able to get both of those. And then they had these towels, these fluffy big towels that were $20 a towel, and they had them on sale for $7. So I bought 4 of them things.
Boy, you really got a Christmas splurge, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I mean, but I have to thank Joel and the MCAT studio for making that possible. So that's kind of
Well,
a
that's
late
super.
Christmas gift.
And it's wonderful
And I
for
got
them
some
to
socks.
share.
Yeah, I got some socks, and it's the good socks, They cost like $10, but they were like discounted, stuff like that. So that was pretty cool to get all that. And then they had like these little new washcloths. They had about
Did you
6
get
of
some
them.
gloves?
No, I did not. I could. I still have some money left on that.
Better get some gloves, guy. Protect those hands.
But the thing is, it's just amazing. First, I was going to get some clothes, like pants. You know how I always talk about needing pants?
Mm-hmm.
And one pair of pants was like $40.
Yep.
I was like, I am not going to spend $40 on one pair of pants.
But they might last you forever.
But that's not the point. Then, okay, if you have $150 and say you buy 3 pair of pants, it's almost gone.
Well,
So I wanted to stretch that card out as much as I could.
my friend took her teenage granddaughter to apply for work in the mall because she's in high school and she wanted to get her first part-time job experience. She's a good kid, but the only place that would offer her a job or were hiring was a really, really expensive teenage shop. And she said, I'm not going to work there. They charge $150 for a pair of jeans.
That's why I
And
shop at
probably the
thrift
ones that have
stores.
fake holes in them.
You know, well, see, the thing is, you know, when you go into malls and you're paying these outrageous prices for clothing, no wonder people don't have any money.
And the same
Think
token,
about
those
that.
stores have to pay really high rent. But
I know, and I don't
they
mean
can
that
have
critically when I
products
say
that
that,
are
but
worth the prices.
it's just amazing that you can go into a Herb Burgers or a Sears and just pay these outrageous prices for a pair of pants.
But if you go to a thrift store, you
You
get,
can get the same thing.
and your money is donated to charities.
Here's a true story about thrift stores. Are you familiar with Cole Haan,
No.
the shoes? I found a pair of alligator shoes in a thrift store that was Cole Haan, and they happened to fit me. So I took them, right? I got them. And then I went to the mall and made a comparison, and they had the exact same shoe, Cole Haan. They had it's the same size and everything, and that shoe was $140 for a pair of shoes. That I got the same thing in a thrift store for almost next to nothing.
Well,
It's just amazing.
I've seen
that,
special Nike walking shoes, walking, we call them tennis shoes, for older people that have an extra platform and extremely good arch support, which, boy, I need. And they were just my size. I found them in the used items downstairs at the Manor. They cost over $150 in the store. And I got them for nothing. I
And
didn't
at
even have to pay for
at the
used.
senior center, they have shoes for diabetics that they give away for free.
Oh,
Really? I
wonderful.
didn't know that.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Well, see, my point, I think it's our culture. I think we've been so conditioned that everything
Consumers.
has to be absolutely brand new when you buy it and just spin, spin, spin. And I'm not criticizing that, but I mean, if you got a 14-year-old, he wants a $100 pair of tennis shoes, and then he's going to outgrow them about a year and a half later, there's something wrong with that to me. I was watching the Cosby Show one time, and they had this episode where, you know, Theo, when he was a kid growing up, he wanted to wear this particular shirt, and it cost like about $200 on the show. It's just a shirt. And his father says, no 14-year-old boy should be wearing a $200 pair of shirts unless he's dancing on stage with his four brothers.
Well, you know,
I just thought that line was so funny.
that's part of the rationale for school uniforms.
Uh-huh.
Is that people won't be trying to impress their peers by wearing really expensive or desired items of clothing that attract attention and that they might get beat up for wearing. It takes the focus off learning.
Yeah.
So uniforms mean everybody's dressed the same and you're not going to rival other kids that way.
I went to Catholic school, and
I went to a Catholic school too.
You resented wearing a uniform?
no, but I did notice that the girls would roll up their skirts and maybe change something a little different so they could have a different identity. And
Or look a little bit wild.
right.
They
Yeah.
probably wouldn't do anything wild, but they like to
Well, you know,
attract
it's just
attention.
amazing how I guess our culture is school. Because I don't.
I first
I make no
encountered
quarrels.
uniforms when I did my student teaching in England. And
Uh-huh.
I thought it was so cool. The girls all had their gray blazers and their pleated plaid skirts and their white blouses, and everybody had the same, and all the clothes were interchangeable. You'd always have an outfit. It always looked
Right.
good together. It didn't hurt them a bit.
And saved money.
Oh,
But you know, I was gonna say if it were left up to me, there would be no school. I would have everybody just teach the kids at home because I'm not a big fan of public school. I never have been.
well,
I didn't like it when I was
keeps
in high
everybody
school.
at the same level, going at the same pace when they're not built that way. Children aren't built that way. They learn certain things at different rates.
Well, yeah, but you know, I mean,
Everybody's an individual, so
the peer pressure in public schools and and everybody wanting to fit in. I think that causes problems in the lives
People
of young
being
people.
beat up for their lunch money.
Yeah, see, I would ban all that and just say, take and teach your kids at
Well,
home.
my-
like Little House on the Prairie.
You know, you
or
like
something.
my granddaughter.
Yeah.
She wasn't the least bit shy. She played the piano on
Yeah.
the show. She wasn't conceited. They tested her when she was 4.5, and her parents were told that she already had all the skills that a second grader, a person completing the second grade would have. So they didn't know what to do with her. So they're homeschooling. And my grandson is the same.
Well, my sister, she
speaks very
homeschooled her girl,
articulately.
and when they did a comparison with my niece and the public school, my niece scored higher, aptitude and everything.
Yeah.
The niece in the public school?
No, she scored higher
Oh,
than all
yeah,
the kids in the public
because
school.
they get the attention.
hmm
They don't have all the distractions, and it's just easier to learn, and their parents are directly connected, and they aren't prevented from doing things like praying.
Yeah.
My grandson is homeschooled by his mother, and
I think that's the way to go. I think
Yeah.
every I
And
think
both
every parent,
my son and daughter-in-law both have college degrees.
yeah, I think every parent should homeschool their kids, and they should just outlaw public school as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
That's just the way I
there's
feel
a
about it.
reason for public schools.
I understand that, but public school today nowadays is not public school the way it was intended. In my
The
opinion.
majority of the men and women who formulated this country were tutored at home.
You know, just last night,
They didn't go to public school, but they had the concept of free public education, so that education wasn't just for the wealthy who could afford it.
yeah.
But the problem with public school is the distractions, the regimentation, and like I say, keeping everybody the same all the time.
Well, you know, when we do part 2 of this show, you gave me an idea what to talk about when we were talking about public school. Just last night, I was watching this episode of Law and Order SVU, and they focused on the public school and what goes on in public schools. And that just confirmed my thoughts about it. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of public school.
I
never
taught
have
at a
been.
public
I
school.
did not like it when I was in high school. I hated every minute of it. And I make no secret and quarrels about it. I got good grades, but I hated it. I couldn't wait for that bell to ring to go home.
Well,
And I
it
went
was
home.
partly who you were with in school, as far as the students are concerned, and the school personnel themselves. I mean, even hall monitors can make a big difference if they are good people.
But you know, I came up in an era too where there were still issues with people of color too, and it showed in the school system with teachers and stuff, and those were factors. that I
Sure,
didn't like
wasn't a
either.
factor with me, except that I might have favored black people a little bit more. But I'll never forget, I was shocked. This actually happened, and I'm not saying that money is everything or that people should do this. Well, I was really puzzled when I was teaching at a magnet high school, and parents would send gifts to me for certain things, certain times like Teacher's Day and Christmas and things like that. They'd send me Blockbuster cards or one time I got a card with a $20 bill in it, and a mother wrote in the card that she wanted to thank me so much because her son's father had died an untimely death
Sorry to hear
the
that.
previous year, and the only way she could get him up in the morning was to tell him he was going to miss my class.
Oh,
Aw. And on that note, we're going to have to wind this one down because the hour is almost gone. So we can pick up on the part 2. I want to talk about the school system for the next one. I'll get detailed on it. You just gave me an idea what to talk about. So this version of Asaph Cafe is just kind of impromptu. It reminds me of Seinfeld, just talking about nothing. Sort of. You know what I
Well,
mean?
it's not nothing.
Well,
It's things that are off the top of our heads.
I know. That I meant that in a joking
So we
way.
could say off the top.
I know. And that's why this
Just a
show
little
works
off the
is
top.
because it's impromptu. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being part of this segment of Asaph Cafe. I'm your host, Asaph Cafe. We have these lovely ladies here, Linda Brooks Curtis on my left, and Teresa Toigo. So until our next show,
Happy
Maranatha.
trails. Happy trails,
Trails to you.
Okay, let's do that. Hold on.
In a lower key.
Okay, hold on.
To you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. He's hoping that till then. Da 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 da. Bye bye. Have a good week. God be with you.
That's a good way to end it.
I'm still hungry.
That sandwich
And
was
this is supposed to
delicious.
be my supper.
Oh,
Wasn't it wonderful?
yeah.
I